Thank you for joining today. Today we're going to be talking about escalation clauses. If you're a buyer and you're in a very competitive market, which in New Jersey we still are, you may be becoming frustrated with the market. People told you to wait before, although interest rates were lower, there was so much competition on properties when you made an offer that a lot of experts might have told you to hold off and wait until the market stabilizes a little bit. Unfortunately, in New Jersey, things have not really changed the way that people were hoping for. While prices are not skyrocketing as fast as they used to be, they still are going up in a pretty consistent manner. So when you do make an offer, it's very likely that there are going to be multiple offers on that property. That's where an escalation comes in. An escalation clause is a contract provision in real estate transactions that allows a buyer to increase their offer price if competing offers are submitted. So in a multiple offer situation, you can, as a buyer, you can make an offer for, let's say, the asking price of the property or lower, whatever number you choose to do. Then you can offer to increase your offer by $2, $3, $5,000, whatever that number is, whatever number you decide, over the highest asking price. So let's say that we're making an offer on a property that's listed on the market for $300,000. We can submit our offer for $295 and offer to increase our offer by $5,000 up to a highest offer of $325, so to speak. What happens is that if a seller, the highest offer that they received is $315, then you essentially win that property for $320 instead of that maximum amount of $325. And what that does is protects the buyer a little bit from overpaying. It's still a seller's market by all means. Sellers are still, for the most part, winning out unless there's some kind of an appraisal problem that goes on in the transaction later. However, this kind of helps the buyers give it their all and have a level playing field. Escalation clauses can be beneficial for buyers that want to make sure that they have the best chance of winning the property while limiting their exposure to paying too much. What I'm seeing in the market right now is that a lot of listing agents are discouraging their sellers from accepting escalation clauses. This baffles my mind. I don't understand it whatsoever. And when I've asked agents why their seller is so against escalation clauses, they get really upset. But I actually started thinking about this and put it out on my social media and asked people in my office, like, how do they feel about escalation clauses? And for the most part, in my group of peers, we're pretty open to them. There are a few that gave me some cons to them, but even through those cons, and I'll talk about what those are, I still think the escalation clauses are a great opportunity for buyers and sellers. A lot of times what people don't understand is that the reason why agents and buyers like escalation clause is because it gives them information. In a market where there's so much competition, buyers are out there making offers blind. What I mean by that is a lot of times I have buyers that tell me, what should we offer on this property? We as a buyer's agent should run comparables for our buyers every time they're making an offer. And that's something that we do offer in our team. In an appreciating market or in a seller's market, what happens is that a lot of times the market analysis that we provide you does not take into consideration feelings. How much is this property worth to a buyer besides the monetary value? So if you have a buyer that's looking in a specific neighborhood and they just want into this neighborhood, maybe their mother-in-law or sister lives in the neighborhood too, and the convenience of being in the same neighborhood outweighs the value of the property, there's no way to know what that home is worth to them. So we don't know their motivation, we don't know their situation. So as a buyer's agent, if I'm representing you in a transaction like that, it's very difficult for me to give you advice that's going to be concrete. There's a lot of gray area there. I could say, Based on the analysis, the property is worth $495. It's listed at $500,000. I heard there's 3 offers. The sellers have instructed the listing agent not to be forthcoming on the information that they have in terms of what offers they have. So it could be anywhere. It could be $485. It could be $550. There's no context there. Whereas in a stabilized market, most homes sell for the amount that they're listed for or a variation of that. And we can clearly see that when we run a market analysis. We can see if most homes in that neighborhood sell for 97% of their listing price, or if there's something for 103% from the listing price. But in an appreciating market, most of the time, those fluctuate too much for us to make a determination. For a seller, I could see some agents advising them that it's not a good idea because it limits how much they can get for the property. The only time that I feel that this could be an actual concern is if the highest offer that you received was below asking price, which, by the way, means that you overpriced the home. Which, again, in a seller's market, you can do. You can do whatever you want. However, the people in the market are really who determine the value of the property. And if all of the offers that you're receiving are underneath your asking price, you're likely asking too much for the property and it's not worth that. Let's play on that scenario. Let's say that I'm representing the seller and we listed a property for $500,000. And we received 3 offers. One of the offers has an escalation to go $3,000 over the highest asking price. And the highest offer price that you received aside from that one is $485. So I can see in that situation why some agents will just go back to the agents and say, we're not taking an escalation clause. You need to give us a number. And that's definitely a strategy to take. My humble opinion is that that's lazy. That kind of tells me you're not really a good negotiator, frankly, when I hear that. Because what people don't understand is that an escalation clause is still an offer. I'm licensed in New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and North Carolina, and in neither of those states is an escalation or an offer a contract. You may submit the offer on a contract form, but it's still an offer. There needs to be acceptance in order for that offer to become a contract, to be bindable. What I would say as a listing agent is the seller is countering back at 505. Whoever gives us 505 with the best terms gets the house. You're still protecting your seller because if you don't do that, right, the highest offer they received was still $485. So you're making them $20,000 more than what the highest offer came in for anyway. And it also gives the buyers context so that they know at 505, is this house worth it to me or not? And they can make a decision on that. And if it is worth it to them, they'll move forward with that offer. That is how I see it as a benefit to the sellers. Another thing that listing agents can do with the escalation clause situation is counter back that escalation clause and say, I know you had an escalation clause. There's other offers that are very comparable to yours, although yours is one of the ones that the seller is looking at. Would you consider waiving the appraisal, waiving inspections, limiting inspections? What of the terms of your offer or the contract can you amend to make your escalation clause or your offer seem better? And a lot of times I'm able to get my seller what they want with those negotiating tactics. Another thing that I've heard from agents is that escalation clauses are stupid because they're only increasing the offer by $2,000 or $3,000 or $5,000, which again baffles me because if I have a seller that I've prepared for the market and I could get them $5,000 more than what their highest offer is, what seller will not want that? I don't understand that. I just don't see the con there. Another thing that I do that has really helped me get my buyers under contract is that we submit our escalation clause without a cap. We do put other provisions in the offer stating that we need to see what the highest offer is, so we need proof of that in order for us to move forward with the offer. And some agents have come back to me and they're so upset. They're like, you can't do this. But I don't really understand why not. Again, an escalation clause is an offer. So if my client, in the scenario of the house is listed for $500,000, if my client offers $5,000 over the highest asking price, no cap, and your highest asking price is $525,000, you still have to go back to that buyer and say, based on your escalation clause, your client will win this property at $530,000. Do they want to move forward? And at that point, the buyer can say, I'm only qualified for $520,000. Can't go up that high. I'm out. And then you still could accept the $525,000 offer. Like, I just don't see how this could hurt you. So it really baffles me when agents are so against them and it gets them so angry that they will hang up the phone and not even have a conversation with the participating agent to make the deal work. I mean, it could only work for the seller's advantage. So I don't understand why more people don't use it. The first thing that I hear from our peers is that most of the agents that don't like escalation clauses are lazy. Now, I'm not name calling. I'm not calling people lazy necessarily, but it kind of feels that way. It feels like it's a lot of work for them to compile these offers and negotiate for their client to really make the best of it. The only other upside that I can see is that an agent is not very good at math or doesn't like doing math, or they feel like that's too complicated. What happens if you have more than one escalation clause? That is a great question. So for example, if we have 3 offers, 2 of them have an escalation clause. One offer comes in at $515,000, another offer starts at $500,000, but they will go up $3,000 over the asking price up to $520,000. Then the last offer is $500,000 with an escalation of $5,000 over the highest offer with no cap. What I would do is just put them side by side. The first one would obviously be an offer of $415,000. The second one would be an offer of $518,000, because it was $515,000 is the highest offer, plus that $3,000 of an escalation is $518,000. The last one is $500,000 with a $5,000 escalation clause over the highest offer. The highest offer now that you have is $518,000, so then that one would win it at $523,000. Because we did allow that escalation clause, we were able to get the seller $23,000 over the asking price because we were able to leverage those escalation clauses one against the other. Again, you still have to go back to that last one and say, hey, I got your offer. The highest offer we received was $523,000. Does your client want to move forward? Yes or no? If they say no, then I'll go back to the second one and say, hey, you won this offer at $518,000. Do you want to move forward or not? And go from there. If I have 2 escalation clauses that are exactly the same, I would go back to both of those agents and say, it's between you and another offer. You have identical offers. What else can you offer to sweeten the pie for the sellers? There's always something to negotiate in real estate. Again, if you have any suggestions as to why you think that it's not a good situation and why and how that's backfired on you, please leave a comment. I'd love to hear those, and I'd love to talk about those some more in the future.